What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Derek Ruby Show. I am the previously mentioned host, Mr. Ruby, and today we're going to be talking about Ghostbusters 2016. So if you don't want spoilers for this movie, well, just keep listening anyway because there's going to be spoilers. So, Ghostbusters 2016. It sucks. I mean, at best, this is an average movie. And the problem with that is you took a beloved franchise that's been going on since 1984, that's given us books and games and comics and other movies and all kinds of things, and then you dare to come out, you people at Sony, you dare to come out with a movie that is subpar at best. I mean, if you want to go to sleep, go watch Ghostbusters. So let's just get right into it. Ghostbusters is filled with talented actresses and actors. It has a great cast, but they're given the most horrible material to work with. I mean, the movie starts off kind of strong. You know, you go to this like spooky museum and everything looks kind of cool and whatever, but then the movie just goes to shit from there. I mean, first of all, the Ghostbusters has humor like a fart joke. Now, whether the fart joke comes from the pussy or the ass, it does not matter. It's a fart joke. Ghostbusters never had to go that way to make its point, to be funny in the previous movie. And they pretty much just copy the original beats from the other movie, just in a kind of a variation of a way, but it's still the same thing. I mean, they did that with Ghostbusters 2, and Ghostbusters 2 was an okay movie, but this is even worse than that. I mean, when you've got a cast like this, and the movie is completely unfunny, there's something wrong. You had plenty of time to make this movie. You've been talking about this movie, and then basically Sony has been trying to make it out like everybody who doesn't want to see this movie is some kind of chauvinist pig or has a problem with feminism or something. When in reality, this movie is pretty much does everything that it accuses all those people of doing. Every man in this movie is made to be stupid. Every person that's not a woman is a complete idiot. They even go ahead and use the proton packs on the main monster at the end of the movie and shoot him in the ghost balls, which I don't know if ghosts can have balls or not. That's neither here nor there. But the main problem with this movie is it's just not funny. I mean, there's only two funny parts in the movie. The first part that's funny is actually a scene that nobody's in. Chris Hemsworth is sitting there, and there's an answering machine that comes on and says, "Ghostbusters, what do you want?" So your stars of the movie are an answering machine and a telephone. Me and my brother both laughed at that. Now there's another spot in the movie, which some people say they didn't like, but I actually thought was kind of interesting, where they had Slimer, and he steals the Ecto-1, and next thing you know, you see a scene of him driving around with another Slimer, like a female Slimer, and a bunch of other ghosts partying and riding around the car. I would rather watch a 20-minute short about that. That was way more interesting than everything else going on in this movie. You had a little small appearance from Stay Puft in the form of a balloon, but at the same time, the ghost that's on the logo becomes the giant thing in the movie that they sort of fight, and it's just basically blatantly ripping off the original. Now, they have good ideas. They use like a proton grenade and like a different style of gun and like all these things with different technology that they can use to fight the ghosts, and that's really cool. But it just doesn't pan out. I mean, every time they do show something cool, they cut to something that's really stupid, or they say a kind of funny line and then they ruin it in the next scene. On top of that, they tried to set up these stories with Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy, and they never really flesh it out. I mean, you see that they kind of fell apart, and then really, really early on in the movie, they hook right back up. And so at the end of the movie, they go into this big vortex, and Kristen Wiig gets a rope or something, ties around her waist, and she jumps in there to save Melissa McCarthy. And it's supposed to be a feel-good type of moment. But nobody really feels it because you didn't really expand on that story too much. So why would anybody really care? And then when they come out of the hole, their hair's white for some reason, and we don't get any kind of explanation for that because the next scene, their hair's been dyed and they're all hanging out, just chilling. So, I mean, Ghostbusters has a lot of problems. It doesn't really hurt anything, but at the same time, it's just an insult to the entire fan base. And then you got the original cast in the movie. Why is the original cast in the movie if it's not going to be a continuation? Now, the whole thing is you're going to have Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson there, but instead of making them like the people's uncles and the cast, the new girl's uncles and parents or whatever, and then them passing on the legacy. They just play throwaway characters just to kind of constantly remind you that, hey, there's a better Ghostbusters movie and that you should be watching that. And the thing of it is, they have said, Paul Feig or whatever his name is, and Sony, that they want to do a complete reboot. But yet, in their trailers, they constantly show you these things where they talk about 4 scientists years ago did this, or 4 friends years ago did that. So they try to sell it when it's not. So I just don't understand where Sony's going for it. Now, as far as the actresses go, there is nothing wrong with them. I mean, they do a good job for what they're given. You know, you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit, you know. So here you go with that Leslie Jones. All these people are sitting there messing with her on Twitter and calling her all kinds of racial slurs and giving her hell where she decided she ain't going to do it no more. Now, there's no reason for that. But that being said, it's not her fault. She did the best she could. And if anybody's got a problem with the actresses for what they did, they should know that this is the type of stuff that they were given. I mean, look at Melissa McCarthy. She has made better movies. Her and Paul Feig did The Heat. That was a hilarious movie. But Melissa McCarthy also did Tammy, which is worse than this. So there's a give and take there. Now, if you really want my opinion, if you just want to use a gimmick and just say, let's do 4 women or let's do this and that, then how about we use a different concept and we'll get like 3 black guys and then we'll go ahead and get like... 1 white guy, and then we'll go ahead and do Ghostbusters in Compton. And instead of Bill Murray, we'll have Ice Cube. That way, we got to have that snarky guy. Then we'll have Dan Aykroyd. Instead of him, we'll have Chris Rock. And instead of Harold Ramis, we'll have Tyler Perry. And instead of Ernie Hudson, we'll have Vince Vaughn. And instead of Sigourney Weaver, just to have a little bit of diversity in the movie, we'll have Jennifer Lopez. And instead of Rick Moranis, Kevin Hart will play him. And instead of Annie Potts, we'll go ahead and get Essence Atkins. And so that way, you can see Ice Cube stab, Jennifer Lopez with some Thorazine to knock her out. You can see Chris Rock get a ghost blowjob. You can watch Tyler Perry go ahead and do some scientific stuff. And Vince Vaughn can just stand there and hardly say nothing like Ernie Hudson did in the previous 2 movies. And, Essence Atkins, she can go ahead and be pissed off when she answers the phone, and then Kevin Hart, he could be the keymaster and or the gatekeeper or whatever, and run around doing Kevin Hart things. So if there's something strange in your neighborhood, like crackheads or whatever, well, who are you going to call? Looking at all that, besides the Ghostbusters in the Hood, the only other funny thing, Chris Hemsworth, he kind of does make this movie do okay, because this guy right here, he had a couple funny lines in the movie. He really did a good job, but at the same time, they had this ghost dancing scene that was leaked in the Sony emails that they wanted to use, but they ended up putting in the credits because it probably sucks so bad. I mean, the other problem with this movie is the main villain, you don't know anything about him. You never know nothing about him. And there's no huge reveal at the end like the first movie where it was just awesome and everybody loves it. No, it's just a waste of time. I was really hoping for this franchise to go somewhere. I was really hoping that it would take Ghostbusters to another level to where we could get 2 or 3 good movies that would be funny and just a different take, but no, they blew it. Sometimes doing a remake like the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and Rise of the Planet of the Apes movies, those are good remakes. Those are something to look forward to. Versus, like I saw The Conjuring. The Conjuring remake, or I'm sorry, not The Conjuring, the Poltergeist remake. The Poltergeist remake wasn't a bad movie, but it didn't bring nothing new to the table, and that's what's wrong with these movies. They're not bringing anything new to the table, and if they're not even going to remotely try to be funny or really do anything that's out there, and that they're going to try to pressure people into seeing them just because they want to make money, then there's no reason to do it. I'm sorry, just making a remake to make money is not a good enough reason. And for everybody that keeps going and seeing these movies, pretty soon we're going to have, Back to the Future, they'll remake Indiana Jones, they'll remake, eventually, it's going to be a point where all your favorite TV shows and all your favorite movies are going to be remade again and again as long as we keep going out and spending your money. So, in my opinion, Ghostbusters gets 2.5 out of 5 stars. So if you want to see it, if you like it, hey, that's fine. That's your opinion. This is mine. Everybody's welcome. Please leave comments in the bottom, good or bad, and suggestions for the next video you would like to hear about. Thank you for listening to the Derek Ruby Show, and I'll see you next time right here.